Petra, predictions in order of the most successful Asian nations within a FIFA World Cup. Number 1, South Korea. To date, they are the only Asian nation to have won a knockout game within the FIFA World Cup. They are the only Asian nation to have reached a semi-finals in the World Cup as well. And actually, when they did this feat, they also became the first nation outside of Europe and the Americas to have reached the semi-finals as well. So really groundbreaking stuff. They have made 11 appearances in the World Cup, the most of any Asian nation. 3 of those occasions they successfully progressed out of the group, and one of them they actually topped their group. And when you look at it, 3 out of 11 doesn't look that good in general, but they've qualified for 6 World Cups in the 21st century, and all of those group progressions, those 3 times, happened in the 21st century. So you're looking at, on average, they will progress out of the group stage every other World Cup. Number 2, Japan. They've made 7 appearances in the FIFA World Cup, and on 4 of those occasions, they've successfully progressed out of the group. 2 of them, they actually topped the group. So mathematically speaking, just about more than half the time they will successfully progress out of the group, but they have never won a knockout World Cup game. 2 of those times, they were knocked out agonizingly in a penalty shootout. So having never won a knockout game within a World Cup, what does this mean for Japan's 2050 project of finally lifting the men's FIFA World Cup? Number 3, Australia. They have made 6 appearances within the FIFA World Cup, and on 2 of those occasions they have successfully progressed out of the group stage. And coincidentally, the times they've successfully progressed out of the group stage in a World Cup is when they've had to play a South American nation in a World Cup qualifying playoff for a spot in the World Cup. So clearly that was very good preparation for them. Number 4, Saudi Arabia. Like Australia, they have also made 6 appearances to date in a FIFA World Cup. However, they have only successfully progressed out of the group stage on 1 occasion, and that was in their debut World Cup in 1994. So that's been 5 consecutive World Cups they have exited in the group stage. And to be honest, they haven't proven enough to be competitive within the World Cup. Number 5, North Korea. They've only actually made 2 appearances in a FIFA World Cup. However, though, they have progressed out of the group stage on 1 of those occasions, which was their debut in the 1966 World Cup. And come on, they were in a group with Italy and Chile had just come 3rd in the previous World Cup. Like, really impressive stuff. Number 6, Iran. Yes, they have made 6 World Cup appearances. However, the reason I put them under North Korea is because they have never progressed out of the group stage. In 6 World Cups, they only have 3 wins and 3 draws. And a lot of those successful results have come within the last 2 World Cups, which I genuinely think have been Iran's best opportunities to progress out of the group stage, particularly the 2018 World Cup. They were pitted in the group of death. However, they were extremely competitive. They got some decent results, and in the final group stage game, they were trailing to Portugal. They equalised 1-1 against Portugal in the last few minutes, and really in the dying moments of this game, the final group stage game, they really could have won. They could have won, do the comeback against Portugal out of all teams, write history for Iranian football, and at the same time would have knocked out Portugal out of that World Cup too. Like, so much could have happened if they just had it. And it would have also been funny because their manager in that World Cup was a Portuguese, Carlos Queiroz. So yeah, the 2018 World Cup, Iran genuinely were unlucky. However, in the 2022 World Cup, Iran truly bottled it. They had a manageable group as well. They got a win against Wales in the second group stage game. And looking at the previous results, in the final group stage match, all they needed was a draw against a young, inexperienced American side who didn't even qualify for the previous World Cup in 2018. But no, somehow Iran bottled it and lost that game. I guess the pressure really got to them or something, but truly bottled that one. The following Asian nations have only made 1 appearance to date in a FIFA World Cup: But to put number 7, Kuwait, because they are the only Asian nation with a solo appearance to get a point. They actually got 1 draw in their solo appearance in the World Cup, and this was a draw against Czechoslovakia, and they actually came back in that game after trailing to draw 1-1, so fair play Kuwait. Number 8, Iraq. They've only made 1 appearance in the World Cup to date, and they lost all their games within the World Cup, but the reason I've put them above other nations in a very similar position, because all their games within the World Cup were relatively close compared to the following teams I will mention. Number 9, UAE, China and Qatar. So actually 9, 10 and 11. I put them all as a draw because they're all par with each other in that they lost all their games within a World Cup, didn't pick up any points. But I feel like it's quite unfair to judge these nations like based on goal difference and these kinds of stuff, because all their groups, varied in difficulty, to be honest. So that's why I'm putting them all on par, like on a tie with each other. Though the thing with Qatar, not going to lie, is their group probably looked the most doable for out of these 3 nations. But there was something about Qatar within their World Cup when they were hosting. It was their debut. Like, you could really tell the other nations in their group kind of went easy on Qatar. So again, it's difficult to judge on goal difference and that kinds of stuff. Number 12, in last position, Indonesia. Maaf, they've made 1 appearance, and back then in the 1938 World Cup, it was straight knockout. So unfortunately, they only got to play 1 game. Like, what? The reason though I do put Indonesia in last is because they didn't even have to qualify for this World Cup. They only qualified because Japan withdrew. So they essentially got a free entry, whereas the other nations had to go through qualification and prove themselves. Well, unless you're Qatar, where you were hosts. I'll be making a similar video to this later down the line, but instead I'll be talking about African nations within the FIFA World Cup and the successes they've had within a World Cup. But for now, there you have what I deem are the successes Asia has had within the FIFA World Cup in order of what I thought was most successful. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? How would you arrange this order instead otherwise? As always, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.